Hello, this is Jane. I just want to talk about a few things that happened. A lot of pulp culture type of things that happened this weekend. None of it really matters in the scheme of life. Today is Eclipse Day. It's already happened in parts of the world and haven't seen anybody die yet from it. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be good with God because the signs are there. You should be God. You should be good with God. Whatever God you believe, you should be good with them, because I do think that we're kind of like in the end times, whatever that means, to whatever you believe it is. I'm going to start with. I'm going to finish with Manchester United because that's what I talk about more on this. It's not probably at the same level, but it kind of is. It's like probably right there with WrestleMania, as far as how many people watches it, the pop culture that it is, but I want to start with the women's championship. Congratulations to South Carolina, undefeated the entire year, regardless of her politics, her ideology, her sexual preference. Dawn Staley has obviously created something that can't be really stopped in South Carolina. They are like UConn in the past, Tennessee, Stanford, Texas years ago. See, I've been watching college football, basketball for women since the 70s. And what I really want to talk about is the vitriol that we have online that becomes so racial because we have a white girl that's really, really good, and all these people have to come out and go against her. And then if she does something, if she pushes somebody off to get open, see, she only gets that because she's white and she's not lesbian this shit needs to fucking stop. She's a transformative player. And the thing is that all you people are so happy that South Carolina won, and all these people online that have huge followings like Shannon Sharp are just so happy that South Carolina won because they have more black players than white that Iowa has. That it was always about race at the end of the day. No matter how many teams that Iowa win this year, with most of it, they have mostly white players, but they won most of the games that they played against other teams that had black players. You want to celebrate that you win at the end against another team that had a lot of black players on it. And you think that what have you done? You prove that black players are better at basketball? They're not, okay? There are different parts of the game. I'm talking about women's sports. They're not. There is no team that's got or player that you can look at and say is like Michael Jordan. You can't. There are a lot of good white girls that are at that level because they don't have the same athletic ability that men do. So when we look at the men's game, you say we look at Michael Jordan because he was above the rim and do things like that. We equate him to be one of the greatest of all time, whereas Larry Bird probably is a better player. He was a five-tool player. He made his team better. It took Magic or Jordan 7-8 years to get the team to do anything. When Bird came into the league, the year before they had won 21 games, he got him to the Eastern Conference Finals the next year, the first year he was there. I think overall that Bird was a better player. But when you look at what the NBA is and the incitement and the entertainment of the value, and eventually I think that Jordan eclipsed him. And a lot of that was based on injuries as well. But when you look at LeBron and Bird, they're the same size. Maybe Bird might be an inch taller. It's not when you try to compare the eras. I think Bird would be clearly the best player in the league right now. And I don't give a shit what color he is, And this is a lot of white people when they're having this conversation, and say, well, I think I would put him, or I think Caitlin Clark's a good player, and everybody wants to bring up the race thing. And it's just all over. And again, Twitter doesn't mean shit, right? But it's all over there. Everything that's on my mentions is about, well, you lost to black people, and now this was a good thing for black people. And then former players that happen to be white sit there and saying that they're going to finish when she gets to the NBA, the women's NBA, that she's going to be irrelevant. They better hope that she is relevant because that league is dead. And I just want to say this before I move on to the next subject, as it's raining here in beautiful North Alabama. It's done for college or women's basketball. People think that this year is going to make it transformative. It didn't do that with soccer in this country with women when they did everything they could do to ingratiate themselves to the public in the 1999 team. And for about 2 or 3 years, they had some of that goodwill, and then they started getting into this stupid ass identity politics and progressive ideologies and all this shit that I used to be. I am a liberal, but that's not what I believe. I don't believe that you just continually identify people based on the color of their skin. That somehow that makes you better than somebody else. If I'm white, now I'm superior. Of course not. If you're black, doesn't make you a better basketball player. It doesn't. Like I said before, many times on this channel, I can go out and get 10 white guys across the entire world, and you give me your 10 black guys, and I think that it's going to be close. I don't think that you're going to be that dominant over everything else. It's just not the way it is anymore. Basketball is not defined by the color of your skin. It's how you play the game. I said before the game that I think that Caitlin had to get 50 points in that game. And she came out hot. She had 18 points in the first quarter. But, you know, they reacted to that. And, you know, overall, South Carolina is a very physical team. And that's how they won the championship. I think that Iowa plays the better basketball. You know, actually look at basketball. Screens, charges, and stuff like that. I think they play better. But I feel like it's a fair play to them. They were the best team all year. I mean, you can't really, and people say she's not the GOAT now because she never won. She got to 2 Final Fours, the final games, against teams that they were supposed to lose to, who had better players overall than they did. She carried that team to that. And I'm trying to think, you know, I didn't know as much about, it's been a while since I actually followed women's college basketball because I watched them in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and I stopped kind of watching them because back then, especially when I first last listened to them, UConn was winning every year. So I just didn't watch them as much anymore. And then when I think Notre Dame beat them and it like stopped their streak, and then the game started to get more balanced around the country. What I like about women's college football or basketball is that those players play for 3 or 4 years. They don't go in after 1 year. So they get better over the years, and that's exactly with Caitlin Clark. She wasn't the best player that came in. She was one of the top 10 when she got out of high school, but she got better and better each year. But it's just this vitriol on both sides. I don't give a shit that what Angel Reese said last year in the championship game. That's just being whatever. And then this whole year she's a villain, and then she claims she's a victim and all that stuff. All that shit's going to be gone. You're not going to have that drama anymore. So that 14 million people that watch the finals, it's not going to happen next year. Because you don't have the same type of drama, because this whole fucking world is now based on internet drama, Twitter drama, racial drama, that there is no real racial drama. The issue I have is that it seems like the ones that are going to the NBA right now, the women's NBA, a lot of them happen to be lesbians and blacks. They clearly want to do something to her when she gets there. Because why? Because she elevates your sport to maybe more people go watch the games when she's in the women's NBA. But you don't want to do that. You want to push your fucking ideology. And she's never said, I'm a Christian, you have to listen to me, or I believe in Jesus Christ, or anything like that. She just goes out and plays. And people won't allow her to do that. And sometimes she does things she shouldn't do. But if you want to compare how he plays, or she plays how LeBron plays, LeBron sat there and tweeted out that I can't believe that they called that call. They called it at the end of that UConn game. This dude doesn't even understand what the rule is. And this guy is the biggest flopper in the history of the NBA. And he would, based on how he played in the last 15 years, there's no he would never could have played when Michael played. He would just been sitting on the south side just fucking crying all the damn time. Regardless of what his ideology is and the shit that he says about officers and all that shit, he's just a horrible human being when he comes to shit like this. Why is he even bringing it up? Oh, I can't live with that. You fucking flop every fucking time to get a call. So shut the fuck up. So again, congratulations to South Carolina. We move on from that. We'll see what happens next year. You're not going to get 14 million people watching the final game. It's going to probably be 2. So I'm sorry. And you're going to be all upset about that and say, oh, it's all because she was white. Well, some of that is true. We're still the majority in this country, whether you like it or not. We're 59, 60% of the population right now. So it's still only 14 million people watch it though. That's like 3% of the population. And we go, oh, it's the greatest thing of all time. Well, good for you, and like I said, congratulations, Clayton Clark, great career. She could stay for another year, but why would she? I mean, because everybody is like against her. Because why? Because she didn't really break the record. Oh, good God! And then what's going to happen to the next level? Or you get people like Kamala Harris saying that that's the first time we were in the bracket here at the White House. It's like, shut the fuck up. Anyway, let's move on to WrestleMania. I really thought that it was okay. The first night was about a 7 out of 10. No real surprises, really. Second night, no surprises. I had pretty much everything right. I wasn't so sure that Damian was going to actually cash in, but he did, and it sets up a lot of things now. You got Drew's going to be able to come back maybe at they're going to win Scotland, the Battle of the Castle or something like that, and I think he'll probably win it back against Damian there in front of his own people, which I think will be a great thing for him. I think that's in June. So I think Damian will have it from now till then. And of course, I love the ending. And the thing about professional wrestling, I guess we're going to talk about that now. It looked like what we've actually done now in WrestleMania is that they pivoted away from sports entertainment, even though the last part of that match was all that. But we're going back to professional wrestling. And before I get into the actual match and what I think it means going forward, I do want to say something like this. And I know a lot of people are going to probably be against this, the 4 or 5 people that watch this. I like the first or 2 times they talked about Triple H, and it's the new era and all that stuff. But it just got on a little bit thick when Stephanie came out the second night and said it's now her husband's era, and this is the same bloodline that has apparently been this bad influence on everybody in the back, because Vince had these consensual relationships with women that were a lot younger than him, who he gave them a lot of fucking money, and they just love to be in that type of position. And now these people are coming out now and going against him. I don't know the man, I don't know the girl, I don't know any other girls. I say girls, women. These are women that went into these positions that they wanted to get what they wanted. And it's like, again, we're looking at women like they don't have the same agency when it talks about sex. They clearly do, because now she's doing this. So anyway, first night, okay, new era, all that stuff. Then we're continually we're talking about pro wrestling. We're not talking about sports and entertainment, except for The Rock when he comes out. And then Stephanie comes out, and I love to see her. Been a fan of hers. I definitely was in love with her, as we all were when we were growing up. Before she had the big boob augmentations, I thought she was beautiful back then. But she looks like her dad. So you're not really going away from what we're doing. And everybody knows you're the daughter and that you are part of all this as well. The fact that you were not, there are so many things we could talk about you that went in the back scenes, what you did to China and all that stuff. And this is all true stuff. So, I mean, she used her power to get Triple H away from China. What's the difference? She was a management level, and he was a wrestler, and she was using her power to get her to stay with him. No one will bring that shit up. But anyway, it was nice to see her, but I think that should be the end of it. And then, of course, at the end, Cody did the same thing. And they normally don't do this. They don't wait till the very end and have everybody in the ring and talking about shit. They do that at AEW. And I think what they're doing here is just to bookend the whole thing. And at the very end, he brings up Hunter, and now we all know that the era is new. And you got the new champion because you're getting rid of the unbeatable Roman Reigns, and that's in the other future. And again, why would you put Roman Reigns in that category anyway? It's like, we're gonna get rid of all this stuff. But Roman Reigns was created by Vince McMahon. He knew when he first saw him that he was going to be this huge star. and he pushed it down our throats for years and years and years, and they finally made him go heel, and that changed everything. And then he had this great run for over 3.5 years, and got better and better and better. A lot of that has to be something that you have to give to Vince McMahon. You just have to. Since I'm an older guy, I'm not going to sit there and say that everything that happened in the past was Vince's fault. Obviously, Triple H, Paul Levesque was doing shit back with Shawn Michaels and all this shit. All these guys that are claiming some sort of distance away from Vince all did the same shit in some way or another. They had women waiting for them at every port that they went to, every place they went to. Or they had women in the back that they were probably paying to do shit. And they did some sort of degenerate bullshit out there. And we know this happened. Now, you may not like it because Vince is 70 years old and he's having sex with a 25-year-old hot girl who doesn't really care and apparently loves it. If you look at the next text messages, she's into this shit. You know, I guess at some point when you get to a point that she finally says no, and then it becomes a bad thing. Okay, and he had all these NDAs, and he's a bad man for doing it. And he would not be my friend. I wouldn't look at him as somebody that I would want to aspire to be. But when this happens, it's like the whole thing that we know. Absolute power will make you, whatever the word is, I can't even say. It'll just destroy you morally. But again, do you think that Stephanie from McMahon or Shane McMahon would sit there and say that their father's a bad man? All the opportunities he's given them. I get it. I do. You have to move on because I mean the shit that's happening with how it is now, it could destroy WWE and TKO as well. I get that. It has to be pushed out. It's just strange that they bring her out. And I guess the idea, hey, you can actually see the facial simulations, but what we're really saying is that we're moving a new era. Okay, fair enough. We'll move on from here. I like how it ended. The second night, the last two matches were the best of the entire weekend. I think it was great to see Bayley get her championship, and I think Io Sky was unbelievable. I think people were saying all night that she was underrated. I'm sitting there saying, no, I keep saying shit like this. I know she's going to lose, but I haven't really thought about it, and I watched that. But the second half of that match, she was really good. And as a small girl like that, 5 foot, being able to do that and look like a threat, because Bayley is a bigger girl. You know, you just don't think that she has any chance against her. But she looked like she was going to beat her. And that's how you're supposed to do. That's how you make the theater work, the performance art. They call it professional wrestling, but it's an art form. And then you have the thing about what sports and entertainment really means. And people are like, see, we got pro wrestling back. Now, they said that about AEW when it came out. This is where I want to get the rest of this and then go on to Manchester United. You can make this claim. You can say that the last 20 years, it's been the PG-13 era has been horrible. I stopped watching it, and then my son got into it when he was like 7 or 8 years old, and for the last 20 years, 17 years, we've been watching it. And obviously, I think they really hit the nexus for us is when Daniel Bryan did what he did. God, it's been a while back in New Orleans when the Undertaker lost his streak, and then he won the championship. Then we were fully invested back in the WWE again, and we watch all the pay-per-views or private events, we watch it all the time. But when AEW came out, because I'm an old school guy, I said I want to go back and actually watch pro wrestling. So I watched it, and it was good for about 18 months. And then about 6 or 8 months ago, I stopped watching again. You can't continually have people flying around and have 75,000 false finishes, and then you can't continually do that all the fucking time. And they did that yesterday a lot. It's like, how can you have 4 claymores that you kick out of, or 2 or 3 stomps and you kick out of? 1 or 2 I get, but it's crazy to me how it happened in the final as well. It's nice we're having rain today. Good to see. But anyway, But now we're seeing with CM Punk. I guess they have the video of what happened at Wembley Stadium, so we're going to see what happened there. I don't understand why AEW is even getting involved with that. To me, this is like female nature. Men don't solve their shit this way. You don't bring this shit out. And all he really said is that, hey, I could have killed him if I wanted to. And he can. He's a bigger dude, and he understands how to choke somebody out because he has some training when it comes to jiu-jitsu. Once you're in that position, you got somebody there, you can actually kill them. So, and now that's their biggest thing. That means that they're failing to me. And again, I've been away early. I mean, I stopped watching them, and I was with them when I was paying for all the pay-per-views, which I never do. I think that AEW screwed up when they didn't have another thing like we have on Peacock or the WWE Network. Have subscriptions come in for $8 or $9 a month, so people don't pay for the pay-per-views. There's so much more money doing it that way, and people will just pay the $10 a month instead of going and have a coffee or something. But you know, $50, $60 a month to watch that, and yeah, they do have a good product. The pay-per-views are good, but the problem is their shows during the week have the same type of finishes, 75 different finishes. That's not how it works. And they have a great talent. They have a great locker room, but they have they're based they have a very spineless leader. And they say what you say about Vince, he wasn't that. And then their performers are all fucking woke. Almost all of them are. And so is Cody Rhodes to a point. And I think that when you look at the dynamic of having a black wife, and you know, he's kind of like him, and you got CM Punk that talks about trans rights and you know, women should be able to abort their baby. You know, these things are still everywhere, and there are these people that I don't think have a real idea what they're talking about do this. And I have no problem with the fact that he's married a black person. See, is me just talking about it, if people actually sits there and watches this, they're going to say I'm racist for bringing it up. But I think it's good. It shows what they're trying to do here. They're trying to pander to people to watch this product for long and long and long, because it's going to get more money and all that. That's, and when The Rock calls Cody a politician, yeah, he kind of is, and he has the old school looking baby face, black or blonde hair, not real, but black hair, blonde hair, blue eyes, Aryan. So, but again, I was all invested. It was time for Roman to lose the belts. I love how they started it. They made a real fight, you know, real match. I'll let Chael Sonnen was saying bad things about it. I think he was talking about the end when everybody got in there at the end. Whatever, I don't care. And then it shifted. You know, once we had the outside interference, it really became pro wrestling, and then it became sports entertainment. So when they say we're moving away from eras to new eras, at the end of the night, it became sports and entertainment. And we all loved it because we got to see what we saw. And I said this to my son, I said, I don't think it's going to be Stone Cold. I think that the Undertaker's going to come back. And he did, and that was great, and I loved it. I thought his close choke slam was that powerful. I didn't think that the Rock Bottom was that good either against Cena. But again, it made the story and everything work from it. I like the end. The guys from AEW, from Brody's kid was there. But I don't understand. All these other people came down. Why could his brother been there? I don't get that. I mean, if you're going to have all this other stuff there, and WWE actually shows his career where he went over to AEW, and there's pictures of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho and all that stuff, but you can't allow his brother to show up there. When I talk about men not really solving their issues, this is fucking petty. It really is. If you're going to go on Monday or Wednesday night and you're going to show this video, and it's the Young Bucks, who the most womanized, feminized, why these people are even, I never liked them, they're okay. But this falling down, 77 hit kicks, 47 finishes, it is acrobatic. It's all bullshit. It's not real. And I know wrestling is not real, but there's an art to it. And if they want to be on the indies and all that and do shit like that, that's great. You can't really do that to mass audiences. You're going to have a small niche that will like that. But how many times are you going to watch this and it's 77 finishes and you're like, when is this going to finally end? I mean, what do you have to do to win this? And there were a little bit of that in WWE this weekend. And that happens at the WrestleMania. Usually your first finisher doesn't win. But some of those things are supposed to be protected. I'm trying to think how many times people got out of the stomp. And that Drew got out of it twice. And then 3 Claymores. I mean, he knocked out fucking Brock Lesnar out the ring with one. Anyway. Now, when you think about all this stuff, now the story itself finished, and now we have a new story, and there's a lot of ways they can go with this, and that's what's really good about this. Because I think Roman had played everybody. He has done all this stuff. And they said he only had 31 defenses in 3.5 years. Talk about a guy that hasn't worked that much. Oh my Lord. Good for him. Good. I mean, 31, that could be like two months in the old days. But if you saw when he actually was pinned, you could see that Roman actually had a smile on his face. And I was thinking, it's not because he needs time off, because he always has time off. But I think he just, now he can do what he wants to do and maybe come back and maybe change his character. I mean, he did what he did against Seth at the end of that match. I'm not going to say he's going to be a babyface, but he might be a tweener now. What does that mean for Paul Heyman? I mean, there's a lot of things that come from this. Paul Heyman had the greatest speech ever at the Hall of Fame, probably the greatest ever. And then what does it mean for him now? Who is he going to, if Roman goes away for a while, is he going to just be the mouthpiece of Solo or somebody else? I mean, they kind of hinted at that last night, that Solo is probably going to take over. But he's never going to be like Roman Reigns. He's not going to be in the position where he's going to end up winning championships. Not for a while, because he doesn't have the size. He doesn't have the ability. I mean, I'm just saying. And we have CM Punk, and you're going to have that. You're going to have that championship that's going to be with Drew and CM Punk, Seth. Seth might come over. And then now that Sami Zayn's beat Gunther, it could be that Gunther comes over and challenges Cody. Because there's a thing, there's 2 big premium live events. One's in Scotland, one's in Germany, I think. And I think at both of those, you're going to be an opportunity for Drew to win, or at least face Damian Priest. I think he'll win it. And then possibly you're going to have Gunther versus Cody in Berlin. And I'm not sure he's going to beat Cody there, because you're going to have the Nazis versus the United States. So he could, though. I mean, I don't think that Cody's going to hold the championship for like 1,000 years. He's going to get beat. So it could be that. You might have a little of this, but he's going to have it for a while. He's definitely going to have it. I don't know who would take it off of him. It could be Seth, and it could be CM Punk. I don't think so, though. I think that they're going to stay on that side. You might have it like SummerSlam or Survivor, wherever they have, is it Survivors, where they have the 2 champions fight each other. You might see that. But anyway, I'm going to stop with that. I think night 2 was probably the best, other than when Daniel won his, and then the streak and all that, because of what it meant. And then everybody was down and could not fucking believe it. And then Daniel won and everything. I think this is probably the best show. The last 2 or 3 matches were the best. So they all played well. Nobody had a bad match, other than the brothers. I don't think it was that good. I think it's hard when you have brothers doing this against each other. It's hard to be destroying your brother away. I don't think it was a good thing. But they'll move on from that, and we'll see what happens with Jay and Joe, whatever they do. I would like to see Roman come out tonight and come out and shake Cody's thing and just walk away and say, I'm going to go out, away for a while, just to go away for a while. Maybe, I don't know if we're going to see this, but it would be nice if they're going to have, if we're going to make this, basically this thing between him and Roman, Rock and Roman, to end up in the next WrestleMania, they have to kind of start doing that as well. So there might be something like that. Maybe Roman will come out tonight, shake Cody's hand, walks away, and all of a sudden you'll hear The Rock come out, and you think he's going to do the same thing, and he comes up and he looks at Roman and just shakes his hands and says, "Get the fuck out of here," or something like that, and he goes in there and something to Cody and try to do something to him, and that'll keep that era or that aura of the final boss, the bad Rock, and then that'll actually push Roman more to the babyface, and he'll be the babyface, and he'll lose and lose and lose and lose probably until WrestleMania, and he'll actually beats The Rock, and will still be Tribal Chief, because that's probably what we're going with that. Who's the actual Tribal Chief now? Or maybe Solo will, I don't know. That, I mean, there are so many stories you can go now, because now the king is gone. So you can actually do things, and that makes it nice. That means we can actually have some sort of conversation and think about it. But you know, as somebody who's been a fan my entire life that I can remember, since I'm 7 or 8 years old, at the end with Michael Cole saying this is why he loves professional wrestling, and the fact that the female announcer girl who's the best I've ever heard. And people say, they always say things about women, and you know, it's just like, we just say it because of affirmative. This woman is so good at what she does, and she's just, when she's trying to say he's the new champion, she's cracking, you know, the emotion that's there. I think that they probably know each other. I mean, she's a black girl. She probably knows Brandy. They probably know each other really well. I don't know that she knows who's going to win, because there have been so many videos of her online when like The Rock came back, and just like she didn't even know. So I would assume that she would know that Cody was going to win, but even if she didn't, she's very good at what she does, and I want to see that. I hear her, but somebody usually has a video of her and her reaction. I hope I'll find that somewhere. And I love it. It's what women have, soap operas and their stupid Kardashians and shit. This is what it is for men. This is our own soap opera that we love, and I fucking love pro wrestling, and I'm glad it's done. Now we move on to something else, and we'll build and build and build, and it might be 4 or 5 or 6 years to get to the end of that. I mean, how they ended it. I mean, I could keep talking about this, but the fact that he got the chair, and instead of hitting Cody, he hits Seth. That's 10 years. It's just, even though it's not necessary, but it's like, oh, I have a chance here, even though I never really have to do this. They fought before. But the fact is, he's like, you know, instead of winning it, I've done that 1,000 times. I'm going to just get it back in WrestleMania and just show everybody. I like how they did that. So I give Levesque, Triple H credit for that. Anyway, now let's go to Manchester United and Liverpool. First 15 minutes, I thought we were okay. I think Bruno, if he has the ability to make that pass earlier, I think we're at 1-0. But after that, you know, Liverpool dominated the game, had chances, ended up scoring. Onana possibly could have stopped that, but they had 15 shots in the first half. They dominated us, but not really dominating us. They had 2 or 3 really good chances. I'm not going to say that they were the greatest champions, but I'd have to look what their SG is. I'm sure that they're probably supposed to get like 3 goals in that game. And they had got 2. Second half, same thing. I think we came out cold as well. They were dominating us, and I said at halftime, I talked to the other guy I watched with, I said they've been good, we've been shit. They only got 1 goal. And they made a mistake, and then Bruno capitalized on it. I think after that we played fairly well, and we got the second goal, great goal by Komi Mainu, and we had a good chance, 2 or 3 chances later in the game before they got the penalty that we could have made it 3-1. And the same issue we had against Chelsea, we had openings that we didn't finish it, and people were upset because he took out Garnacho with the 80 minutes left. I'm like, okay. People are upset that he didn't do that, didn't put another midfielder in there or their defender against Chelsea. Then Chelsea comes and scores 2 goals in 2 minutes against us. So he brings in Acrobat, and I think he did okay. And I understand because Garnacho was still an outlet, and then he took off Kobe Manu, and then Wan-Bissaka just did something stupid in the box. Now, when I watched it, clearly looked like a penalty. Then when I looked at it back, he didn't touch anybody, but he does end up, it's kind of goes through him at the end, and it's a penalty. A lot of people online saying this is not a third penalties. The last 3 penalties are not penalties. This one is out of the 3, this was the worst. It was a real penalty. The other 2 weren't. The ones at Chelsea weren't. And the fact, especially the last one at Chelsea, when they had 2 or 3 minutes to look at it, and they still allowed it when he didn't touch Emmett at all. And then because he's on the wrong side of it, then it must be avoided. And the same thing that Mark Goldberg said. Well, he's on the wrong side, and you shouldn't do that. And I don't give a shit. If it doesn't actually have contact, it's not a penalty. Against Liverpool, it probably is because his foot's there. It's not, and that's what he does. He says, "Oh, the foot's still there. I'm going to keep my leg here." They're taught to do this. So you can't blame the offensive guy to doing it. We would do it the same thing. The other 2 were basic. They're dives. They're fucking dives. Both people were in the wrong position. The defenders were in the wrong position, but the offensive players were not going to do anything after that. So they went down. Especially Cucurella. He went down. So it sucks. We only got 2 points out of 9, but we're still in 6th. 8 games left. Most of our games that we should be winning are in front of us. We do have Arsenal at home. It was nice to see Klopp acting like a fool on the sidelines. Part of me is going to be fine that he's gone. Other parts, I love it when we do something to them because he can't deal with it. So, personally, I don't think the Liverpool I do not. I could be wrong here. I said this 2 or 3 months ago. I don't fear Villa or Spurs. I thought we were going to be ahead of them. We definitely could have been. If we would have won those games that we were ahead of, 2 games leading at 95 minutes in, get a draw and loses the other one. The other one we're up in the 80 minutes, can't finish it out. We get those 9 points, we're right there. And both Villa and Spurs, or Villa has been dropping points, so is Spurs. Spurs won yesterday. But I think that I thought 70 points would be enough to finish in the Champions League positions, and I still think that's going to be the case. And I think they're gonna still lose points. Our problem is that we have to finish our games. We have to play Arsenal, and Klopp had to talk about that. If Arsenal comes here and they play like that, they're going to kill Manchester United. Well, maybe. I don't fear fucking Arsenal either. Yeah, they should win the league. I want them to win the league because I don't want City to win. I don't want Liverpool to win. But we can sure as hell beat Arsenal. We played Liverpool 3 times this year. We have two draws, and we beat them in the FA Cup. They had enough amount of times to score, and they didn't do it. And really, the game in Anfield, even though they had many shots on goal, or shots, we had the best shots, or the best chances to win that game. We had 2 or 3 of them. It's just, I don't know. It was a great goal by Kobe Mainu. I thought he was responsible for their first goal. Still, again, I don't think that Onana might have got that. But he had 2 or 3 really good, I would say, world-class saves. So he played pretty well. I I think that Rashford didn't play that bad, but I had no issue with him coming off. And I think Anthony's starting to get his act together. I really do. I think that it's unfortunate when we had a chance at the end of that game to win it. He had the same thing that Ahmad had, and maybe he should have done something else with it. He tried to go against the thing. I think it was the same goalkeeper. I think he should have done something else with that. Maybe kept going into the box and maybe cut it across. But we had the same thing. And Mount came out and had an unbelievable pass to start that whole thing that almost could have won the game for us. And at the end of the game, and again, they never showed it. I think it was Diaz. He clearly knocked the ball out, and he was still running along, and they let it go on and on and on. And finally, they got Casemiro came in and just took him out. And here we are at the end of the game, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, they're going to push this in there. Van Dijk's going to put it in, and we're going to lose the game at the end. Fortunately, that didn't happen. And I'm like, it was clear though that ball was out, and I'm like, why are they allowing this to happen? Was Liverpool a better team? Yes. Should they have won that game? Yeah. But you got to fucking score. And I hope to God that this will be a 2 points loss that costs them the championship and not the 1 point that they win because they got the 1 point at Old Trafford. I hope the four points that they've lost to us and only got 2 points against us in 2 games, that's enough to stop them from winning the league. Because I don't want Klopp to win the league. I have nothing against Liverpool, the team. Well, I kind of do. But no, he's such an idiot. He doesn't take any accountability. You know, I mean, it's not like we don't have chances to score against this team. Did they dominate the game? Yeah. I mean, and people forget before when we were dominant, they would do the same thing. We would dominate, take the ball, all that shit, and all of a sudden they get a breakaway, and they'd win a game against us. And that happens in football. But the other thing now is, what does that mean for Ten Hag? It doesn't look good on the pitch. We didn't get battered by them. Statistically, it looked like we did. But it's going to be a difficult thing. And I think that's a good possibility, even if we go in and win the FA Cup, that Ineos might just come out and say, this is what we want to go with. But if they do that, they have to get rid of some players. And we're going to have to make the real decision to either promote younger players, because apparently they do well. I think Kambala played unbelievable. If he's going to be up there, I mean, if we can get him, get Martinez healthy, you can keep, I would keep Lindelof just to have a backup there, maybe even Evans for another year, and then sell Maguire, sell Varane, sell Casemiro, have a real discussion with McTominay and see if he's okay with sitting on the bench, because we're going to find somebody to replace him in the midfield to have the type of style that we want to play. And again, this is another thing if Ten Hag is still the coach. But I think still you want a progressive type of team, similar like Liverpool plays or City plays. So you're going to have players like that. So as much as I like McTominay, I think he's a squad player. He shouldn't really start. Or if he does, it should be against other teams just to refresh the squad. In teams maybe at home against, Fulham, or things like that, he should come in and do well. Or teams that have a huge physical advantage, you bring in Scott for that. So I have no problem if he wants to say. It's whether he wants to be understanding that that's going to be he might only get 15 starts a year, but he's okay doing that. And I think he probably will be, I think. Unless he wants to go to like Scotland and play for like Celtic or Rangers or something like that, which could happen as well. That was a good game too, the Old Farm. Anyway, I think you have to, Casemiro, like I said, Casemiro has to go. So there's some money there. If Maguire goes, it's probably 30 million. Varane and Casemiro, I don't know how, but I think we get another 60 out of those two. So that's close to 100 million. And also takes their wages off the books. and then we promote some more guys from the young youth team and see if they can be good enough. And then you go out and find guys that are good enough. Maybe they play in the Bundesliga or Italian, 20, 30 million type of players that play the type of system that we want. And we go from that. And then the other big issue, the really, really big issue, I mean, Anthony's going to be here for another year or so, for sure. And I think that we're seeing some things that he has in his game. I just wish he would have been a little bit more focused going forward at the Chelsea game as well, and also against Liverpool. But I see improvements there. The coach has been telling that we're seeing this in training, so we're seeing that. So I think he's going to be there, and you're going to have Garnacho, you're going to have Ahmad. There's some issues with Ahmad. I think that maybe there is some sort of financial thing that he's not playing, and that's the reason why he's not getting on the pitch. And it's crazy because this is the biggest team in the world, and the fact that we can't pay the add-ons back to Atlanta. And then you're going to have Højlund there. Højlund didn't play very well. He has to hold on to his how he holds up play. He did some things nice, and he actually will pass the ball, which I like. But he also has to be selfish at times. So you're going to have those type of players. So the question really becomes I think Mount looked really good against Chelsea, even though we lost that game. And then I think he looked really well when he came on. I think that he needs to take over Bruno's position, and we need to sell Bruno. Maybe it's just the fact that he's not had a chance to rest, but he's just missing guys that are open. He did this against Chelsea when we had a chance to go up 4-2. A couple times he did that, and then he just waited too long to pass it to Garnacho. And he had a great goal, but other than that, he just had a very average game. Now, he did come back and stop them from scoring, and I love him for that, and you have to have players like that. But his position and what he does and what he's supposed to be in this team, he's just not. There's a reason why we're at 6th. And a lot of it is because of his form. It is. Because their guys are open, he's not getting it to them. And he's missed guys, he's missed goals that were open. Anyway. And then it's Rashford. And I don't think they're going to get rid of Rashford because he's from Manchester and he kind of is Manchester United. But I think he needs to go too. And if we lose those guys, that's another lot of wages off the thing. So you're talking about getting rid of him. You're going to get 50, 60, 70 million for Rashford probably. And same thing with Bruno, 40 or 50 million. So you're sitting at about 220 million to put in your transfer budgets. And again, this is all, what do they call it? It's like FIFA shit. It's not going to happen, but I'd get rid of him. I keep Luke another year. You got to watch him though, but you got to find somebody to take his position, because his guy that's supposed to take his position is also getting hurt. And then Wan-Bissaka, regardless, he made a bad decision. He's playing the wrong position. He needs to be on the other side. So we have to find those things, and that's going to cost him that money. And we have to. If Kimbala is the guy, he should be there right next to Martinez, and we'll have real athletic center backs, and that's what we need if we're going to play this position. And then either you have to rein in Bruno, or have him not to lose the ball so fucking much, or you have to put Mount there. Get rid of if Eriksen's okay to stay, or just get rid of him. And you're not going to get anything for him, but you're going to take that money off your wage bill. So it could be 4 or 5 guys that could go. And I think we could deal with that as long as we get the right guys in to replace them. And again, if we're going to sit there and say we're going to do this, and maybe next year we're also going to be a team only in the top 6 or 7, and we can be okay with that, but you'll see the changes, and all of a sudden we'll play the type of football that we want to play. I'm okay with that. Why shouldn't I be? We won 13 championships in the Premiership years. So, we have to change. Ferguson did this when Chelsea was good. When Mourinho was there, he had to change things around, and then we came back and got back on top. So we just need to do something. Because I don't think that these guys, I could be wrong, there might be a coach that come in and get something out of them. but I don't trust Rashford and Bruno. I think not his form is going down. I just don't. I think he's playing too much, and if we're not going to allow Mason Mount to spell him, or somebody else, or find somebody that can take him, and it has to happen. And it's, they've had great years, great times here, but it's time for us to move on from them. They're both getting there. Well, he's near 30, and then Rashford's 26, but he's getting his ability to get past guys is gone. He just doesn't do it that much. Again, I think he started okay. I think he played with some sort of intensity, but we just didn't have the ball, so it was hard for him to do anything. So, anyway, that's it. I'm glad we got a draw out of it. Would love to have a win against them. Again, I hope to God that they don't win the league by one fucking point. It'll be interesting when we play Arsenal. There'll probably be some fair weather fans that want us to lose to Arsenal. That's not me. I think it's near the end of the season, so we'll probably know at that point if we end up beating them that it might give City or Liverpool the championship. I don't care. You still have to win. It's Manchester United. If they can't beat us, I mean, the last time they won the league, I think that's what they did. They came in there and they won. Overmars scored at the end of the, or was it Overmars? Yeah, it was. I think it beat us 1-0. And then the next year we won the treble. So last time that happened, the last time they won the league, and then the next year we won the treble. That's not gonna happen this year. If they win the league, we're not gonna go out there and the next year win the treble. That ain't gonna happen, unless we get good players. And maybe we will. It's just gonna take a while for us. And again, that season it took us a while to get together, and we only won the entire league by a week or 1 or 2 points. So, yeah. Anyway, we talked for over 50 minutes. It was a good game or a good weekend for sports, entertainment. Again, congratulations to South Carolina. Also, congratulations to Iowa. Great run over the last 2 years. Get to both final games. I like how you play. Caitlin Hart is a great player. A lot of other good players are in elite or in college are great. I think that the old players need to shut the fuck up and let this woman go in the NBA, women's NBA, and just do what she's going to do instead of putting this other shit around her. She's just a good player. Let's just appreciate that and get off the identity politics and racial bullshit and all that stuff. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm 59 now, and I can still play a little bit of the game. And when I was young, there weren't a whole lot of black guys that could hang with me. I'm just telling you, it isn't a racial thing at all. Yeah, could they do shit? Could they jump higher than me? Yeah, but how many times did we win base championships with me? How many times did I make the shot at the end of the game? Me. So, sports is never looked at color. I guess it looks kind of weird that a league that's so dominated by one side or whatever, and then another person comes in and do things, and they'd be like, oh my God. Oh. Anyway, you guys have a good week, and it's also Eclipse Day. I said, be good with God, right? Make sure whatever that is, you should be. I don't think anything's going to happen to us because it's already happened. So people will be calling me on the phone saying that South Africa just dead. But this already happened. It's going to come to us here. We're not going to see it here. We got cloud cover. Plus, I don't think we see it anyway. I can't see shit out here, so I wouldn't see it. But some people in the country are going to see it. Hopefully CERN doesn't open up a portal to the dead. All the other shit that we're hearing online. Just be good with God and you'll be fine. You guys have a good weekend or week. Have a good day.